Welcome to Arrow's Technical Assistance video series. This is the second video in a 6-part series. This session will cover product differentiation and how to apply this marketing concept to a cottage food business. We will be joined by tips from Yuliya Childers, a cottage food baker, and Lindsay Ganong from Abundant, Montana. All of these videos and more resources for cottage food businesses can be found on the Arrow website at www.aeromt.org. So in the first session, we took a look at this marketing and sales funnel, and we discussed how one of the goals of marketing is to help potential customers move from learning about your product to evaluating your product and eventually to buying your product. In the first video, we covered ways of finding the right customers and generating leads. And this video will cover the second step, which is differentiating your product. Product differentiation is simply convincing a potential customer that your product meets their needs or matches their values as compared to other alternatives. So one key point of product differentiation for cottage food operators is to not try to compete with the conventional food industry. You are not creating or recreating a conventional food item because frankly, it would be hard to compete. If a customer wants a normal conventional food, they have countless other more convenient options. It is advantageous, however, to do exactly the opposite. As a cottage food business, you can differentiate yourself and your product by presenting a better alternative to a conventional food product. So cottage foods are fresh, homemade, and made with love by real life people. This is a common value sought by many customers and one of the main motivations for consumers who are seeking cottage food products. And in terms of the real life people, that's you. If you are selling at a farmer's market or direct to consumers, chances are your customers value interacting and knowing their producers. As a cottage food business, part of what a customer is buying is a connection to you. Customers who seek out direct sales often put trust in small producers. They value producers being accessible. So for instance, they have a chance to ask questions about your product in a way that they can't with conventional foods. They often value the social exchange. So these consumers want to know and interact with artisans in their own community. And further, they commonly have an economic incentive. So they value investing dollars in local businesses. So remember that part of what you are selling is you and your story. We will talk about this in the next session on photos, but you can differentiate your product by inviting customers to be part of your process, allowing them to see you at work, understanding your ups and downs, and ultimately helping the customer feel like they are part of your creation. So you can keep these in mind and take both of these concepts and make it part of your brand. Your labeling and packaging can reflect the unique quality and character of your products. The conventional food industry is awash in plastic packaging, so it can be to your benefit to think about alternative packaging as a way to further set yourself apart from conventional foods. And the Arrow Cottage Food website has some additional resources for finding and using sustainable packaging alternatives. And finally, whether you are selling at a market or as a subscription model, face-to-face interaction with customers are an invaluable marketing resource. Not only do you get a chance to educate them on what makes your product different from the countless other options at the grocery store, you also get a chance to get feedback and learn about their interests and values and how you can better craft your marketing messages to match. So now we are going to hear again from Yuliya, a cottage food baker in Alabama, and she will share how she has learned to connect with her customers. In this video series, we've talked about the need to communicate about a business in a way that connects with customers.
Mm-hmm.
How have you been able to tell your story or communicate about your products in a way that connects with your customers?
It's a chicken and egg thing, because when I started baking, I didn't really know what kind of customers I'm going to get and who's going to like the bread and if they're going to like the bread at all. So I found out eventually that majority of my customers came from the military background. We have a military school in Montgomery, which is 20 minutes away from me. And a lot of them live in Prattville, the families. And this is a higher level military school. And a lot of these people have been to Europe and they're familiar with the good bread. So I got lucky that way. And I had a lot of subscribers among the military families, and most of my customers were like with that background. So I knew that European breads will do well with them. So it was it took me a while to figure out what works, because I really didn't know what to expect from the local community. They taste very greatly. We don't have any bakeries locally. The bakeries that bake bread anyway. So we have cakes and cupcakes and cookies, that kind of stuff, but not the bread. We do have one bakery in Montgomery that was sort of not even, I wasn't going to even compete with them, because they offered pizza and they ordered sweets and all that kind of stuff. So they do very, very small variety of bread. And people seem to like it. It was not the kind of bread that I envisioned making myself. So it took me a while to figure out what the local population likes, and took some time to educate them, because a lot of people didn't even know what sourdough was. They hear sourdough, they think sour. So I had to educate a lot of people and give them some samples to try and say sourdough is not necessarily a sour bread. It's just a method. So it took a lot of talking in person, and then Facebook page, I keep it very active and I keep it very informal. I show my process, I show my mistakes, I show things that I'm working on to see if people react to it and want it. Things of that nature. I just keep things very informal and conversational and engaging.
Great.
Right.
Yeah, I've looked at your Facebook page. You also seem to use humor quite well.
Oh yeah, I do that. That's just that's my nature. Not all my jokes are great, but it works.
Oh, I'm sure that people appreciate your authenticity and your
Sure.
background and
Yeah.
connecting.
I've read a ton of articles on how you should be with your customers, and some of them are just not sitting right with me, because I'm not a corporation. I'm not trying to project a certain image. I want to be me. And I think that one of the best things about small cottage food production is that they know the producer and they need to get to know you as a person. So projecting corporate image is not the business model I want to pursue. So,
Right. If they're looking for hostess, they can go find it at the grocery store.
That's correct.
Another opportunity for cottage food businesses to differentiate themselves is to recognize the inherent connection between cottage food and locally and regionally produced food. Often, but not always, cottage food customers will place value in local agricultural products. So homemade cookies are great, but homemade cookies made with Montana-grown ingredients can be even better. Utilizing local products is an opportunity for cottage food businesses to capitalize on a robust and growing consumer trend of local food. This can be particularly important if you're a cottage food business that sells primarily at farmers markets, because often locally grown foods are a priority for customers who shop at farmers markets. So now we're going to take a moment to hear about a local food resource here in Montana called Abundant Montana from Lindsay Ganong, Grants Program Manager at Arrow. So welcome, Lindsay. Thanks for joining us today to talk about cottage foods and Abundant Montana. Could you start by telling us about Arrow's role with cottage foods?
Absolutely. So in 2013, the legislature passed House Bill 630, which was a study bill to really look at, could home kitchens be a safe place to prepare foods that for sale? Um, should there be any requirements of those foods, specifically looking at uh, potentially hazardous foods when preparing foods at home and selling them to the public, and to really review any inconsistencies and inefficiencies in Montana's food law. And Arrow was part of that working group and that House Bill 630 study bill group. And after 2 years of that study, what came about was the Montana Food Policy Modernization Act, which was the law that led to our current cottage food program. And Arrow got grant funding to actually start what we called growing food business workshops then, as soon as the law was passed in 2015, to make sure that all Montanans could really take advantage of this new law. And especially because we want to promote growing more local food, processing more local food in our state to create a more sustainable and resilient food system. So we've been at the forefront of these growing food business workshops and are now working on this project to provide a cottage food toolkit for both folks who are considering becoming a cottage food operator and those veterans who just want to really enrich their cottage food business.
Great. So it sounds like you are responding to growing and changing needs in the cottage food world.
Yeah, which always seem to be growing and changing, certainly.
Great. So can you now shift and tell us a little bit about something else Arrow does, which is Abundant Montana, and what role Abundant Montana plays with local food producers, and specifically what role it could play with cottage food operators?
Absolutely. So Abundant Montana is a local food directory whose goal is to educate consumers about the value of local food and build a statewide network of local food buyers and sellers. So cottage food operators specifically can, if they're using local food and prioritize local food in their food business, they can sell or rather promote their own business on Abundant Montana. They can also seek out local food producers on Abundant Montana to purchase raw product for any of the value-added things that they're doing. You can also find farmers markets and other retail grocery stores that sell local food. So there's just a wide variety of listing partners there. And we're in the process right now of, as a result of the pandemic, a lot of consumers realized the value of connecting with their local food system. And Abundant Montana is really growing into the go-to place to find local food, learn tips and tricks for using local food, and staying connected to your local food system. So it's a great place to check out the website and to find us on social media. So again, producers can reach new customers, consumers and cottage food operators can find local food, and buyers can also connect with local producers through Abundant Montana. And a cottage food operator, Stella Moss, who's at Stella Bakery out in Four Corners, said that she thinks Abundant Montana is a fantastic resource, especially when traveling around Montana. She can look up where to go for amazing local foods and products. So Stella's been a longtime lister on Abundant and a longtime cottage food operator. She bakes beautiful breads, and Abundant Montana is one of the ways that she markets her products. Abundant has over 600 listings all throughout the food system, and we're really focused on local food awareness and education. So to be a megaphone for all of the local food producers, processors, and businesses in the state. And what does it mean to be an Abundant Montana listing partner? So the partner pledge is such that Abundant will include your listing on our online database and in our print marketing materials. We'll recognize your business as a listing partner on public facing, public relations. And we'll also liaise between producers, buyers, and consumers. So we're working towards a lot of networking events, email communications and ways for all the producers, the local food buyers and sellers to find new ways to connect through Abundant Montana. We also provide broad marketing support for locally grown and processed food, again, being that megaphone, not only for individual business promotion, but for local food in general. And we also want to ensure that we protect the Abundant Montana brand. So ensuring that all business partners honor the core tenets of trust, truth, and transparency. So we don't have like production standards or a super clear definition of local food. It means Montana food, really, but it's more about being transparent about the types of food, the ingredients and products you're using in your products, and that's going to be what's essential for all of our Abundant listing partners. You can learn more about the pledge here at this website linked. And Abundant Montana listing partners really agree to the founding principles of Abundant Montana, which are these 6: develop authentic relationships and collaborations, honor and enhance the integrity of local food systems. And that's really where the transparency and trust piece comes in. Help local food and farm businesses succeed. So we're all in this together. Supporting diverse markets for local food. So that certainly means from direct marketing all the way on through. So, you know, Arrow and Abundant Montana are really dedicated to seeing cottage food operators succeed. So you're definitely part of this equation. Creating free educational resources. The first one coming out is our 2021 Farmers Market Guide, which we're so excited about, in which many cottage food operators will certainly benefit from driving traffic, both of Montana locals and tourists out to farmers markets this year. And we look forward to making a lot more resources like that available to local food enthusiasts everywhere, and to build demand for local food, you know, is another core tenet. So we just ask that listing partners prioritize locally grown products in your business and provide accurate information about your growing practices or your processing methods, labor practices that go into making your beautiful cottage food products. And if you'd like to become a listing partner, hit us up on the website. There is a survey there for specialty food products, which would encompass a cottage food operator. So that's the registration link you click on. And within 2 days, an Abundant Montana coordinator will be following up. If you don't want to do the form electronically, you can also just reach out to us by email, and one of our communications coordinators will just call you up and make a listing over the phone. Shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. It's really quick. And here's an example of, we are a licensee of Taste the Local Difference in Michigan, and they create this beautiful local food guide, which we're going to have available to us in 2022. And that's where the print version, where Abundant Montana listing partners will be featured both on the website, and paid partners will be in the local food guide as well. So lots of fun, exciting, and beautiful local food marketing things to look forward to with Abundant. So follow us, get to know the community. We'd love to see you there and invite you in as a listing partner.
Great. So you've kind of touched on this, but Lindsay, is there a case that you could make for specialty food product producers, cottage food operators, to create value-added products with local food?
I think we're all stronger when we can support our local producers, and Abundant Montana is here to really support the producers, the processors, and the consumers in finding you all. So I think that the place for folks who are interested in incorporating local food into your cottage food products is Abundant Montana, and we're here to help with that megaphone, driving traffic to you, helping you to find the high quality like ingredients you need. And you know, it's a really growing segment of the food industry. And so the food industry is one of the top 3 in Montana to begin with. And then the local food component of that is just blowing up, because consumers, especially with the pandemic, were so aware when grocery shelves were empty, like, we need more resilient food systems right in our own communities. And so as a cottage food operator, if you're supporting those local producers, you can be part of that whole system where we're keeping things local and supporting our neighbors and feeding our communities really healthy food.
Right. And it also seems that it's an opportunity to, it's, as a consumer, it's often easier to find certain, raw vegetable crops, but it takes a little bit more effort sometimes to identify some of these more value-added products, whether that's bakeries or jams and jellies or some of the things that fall easily into the cottage food world. And I also think that from a producer end, to be able to add those value-added products to their list of things sold, it seems like it's a benefit for both those entities.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely working together with the production and processing just makes both entities stronger.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that we talked about earlier in this video is, as a marketing strategy, like trying to identify niche markets and finding ways to access people that are already interested in locally made or locally manufactured products. And when you're selling at a farmer's market or through an abundant listing, it seems like those folks are very motivated already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and loyal and dedicated customers, which the return customers are the ones we want to generate.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And one other thing that I just, from the consumer end, watching and following Abundant, is the social media presence is really valuable and engaging. So I think that's, to be a part of an audience that's already finding meaning and value in your social media, it's also a big advantage for all of your listings.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So engage with us on social media. We love calling out and promoting other accounts that have beautiful photos and are, part of our Montana food system. So it's a really fun place to connect with on Instagram and Facebook there, and look for more and more things coming out on the website. Business promotion blogs, recipes, tips and tricks are all coming to the website soon.
Great. Well, thanks for the work you do in promoting our Montana food system, and we look forward to seeing how Abundant grows.